Hi, this is Ganden, and we need to talk. We're going to talk about this game in the hope that there can be some major improvements, and that the problems that we see with this game is just a problem of actually early access. But I have my doubts, and I will explain why. So, this one is based on a game that's more like an RTS. That's been existing for a while. The latest iteration added an element of being able to zoom into individual units and then take them over like a first person shooter or third person perspective. However, making it into a first person shooter experience like this one is a little bit problematic, and I'll explain why. The original games are kind of jank. They're kind of jank in a way that pathing is a little bit odd. Sometimes they don't fire correctly. So a lot of the times you would go in and take them over in order to be able to fire and destroy things before you get destroyed. The game can be a little bit reactive and also focus on the wrong type of enemies. Instead of firing at the big nasty tank, it will fire at a bunch of infantry running across a road. But there are also a number of other problems with this. So let's start with ammo used. An AP shot, like the Panzer Elite 39L56 as you see, that is a armor penetrating shot with an explosive core. An 88mm will penetrate a tank and explode inside it and kill crew. In this game, there's been cases where I've hit the tank, an enemy tank, like 10 times. Penetrating shots. It just looks like it's burning, but I'm actually repairing it. This is not a simulating game. It is a marriage between something like War Thunder, with locational things inside the tank, but not in the sense you see War Thunder, which is also simulated on the inside, with where you can see the kill shot, where the ammo explodes and the fragments spreads out and hitting crew, right? In this game, unfortunately, it's more of a marriage between this and World of Tanks, so there's some kind of hit point aspect, and you will see that as your tank gets struck, if it's not instant killed, it's gonna turn orange, more and more and more orange. You don't repair, and eventually you're just gonna die like it has hit points. It is weird, but that's just how it feels. And you can hit something in a turret like 3 times. You don't see any crew getting hit. You see penetration in turret. Sometimes you just can keep on doing it. Sometimes it explodes after 1 time. It makes me believe that the ammo itself is not really done right. Of course, HE normally explodes, can destroy buildings, perfect. But sometimes it does nothing. The solid one, also a little bit bad. It's like a tungsten core, like a spear's head. It has much easier way of penetrating through armor, but has a little damage on the inside because it's essentially has the very dense core pushing through the armor. Heat somewhat works, I would say. It just doesn't lose any of its armor penetration value because essentially it's just a shape charge that then melts through the armor and then spread a jet of melted armor and things on the inside of the tank. Yeah. That's the basic of it. Now there's a couple of things I want to say here real quick. First of all, it doesn't seem to have that explosive mass as it should, which means you get really goofy results. Second of all, the fact that your whole mounted machine gun isn't fire independently from all the other ones is absolutely ass. You have one on the top. I can understand while if you're out like this, that's the only thing you should be controlling, in my feeling. But you can switch over separately. Or when you're in like this, then the one thing that you should be able to control is the machine gun in the turret. That, to me, makes sense. But the one mounted here in the front, right there, in the ball turret, that should always be fired individually. I don't understand why you can only fire, you can fire just one at a time. If you will play War Thunder, every single machine gun will fire. And I think that would be appropriate. But also, I would like to have an independent machine gunner. It's a separate crew, so I don't understand why you can't separately fire. That would be a lot smarter. It should be awesome. But for some reason in this game, that just doesn't happen. And I think that a missed opportunity, but not necessarily the worst part of the game at all. There is no map function, but it is a minimap, as you can see. It tells you roughly where to go. You also have the formation button. So you can see here in the right corner, just above the minimap, you have wedge and follow. So that's the order, and the wedge is the kind of how roughly your units is going to line up. And those units, by the way, are dumb. They're dummies. They will barely fire if fired upon. Otherwise, they won't do anything until you're destroyed. They'll just sit there. They're not proactively attacking targets that you see. Plus, having anything like a scout vehicle, like the Luch, maybe? Yeah, I'm sorry. But that one titanium tank right there, which is a former Panzer II that's been more into a scout vehicle, like a heavy scout vehicle, and then you have the other one that's the armed car, which is your atypical that you see a lot in German armies, which is also, as you can see from the antenna, it's one that's more like a scout vehicle. They don't do anything. They don't mark targets. You don't see anything better. You don't see outlines. You're constantly going to be shot at without having the opportunity to be the first to shoot because that guy doesn't scout anything. Plus, they don't fire unless they're fired upon. And being the thin targets that they are, they will die pretty quick without doing much for you. So having them with you is really not necessarily a liability, but it does nothing. It doesn't help you. It doesn't scout for anything or worth it. There are 3 orders that you can do. Mark, follow, and hold. Follow, they will try to. But pathing is ass in this game, so they have a tendency of going right into terrain or turn around and spin, as you will see. Mark supposedly should be doing anything. When you look at it, it says defend. I don't know what it does, if it defends you or defends something. Sometimes you get it to drive somewhere and then just aimlessly drive somewhere. It does nothing. Hold, they don't hold. I can tell you right now, they will not hold. There are times when I play scenarios where I try to place one of the vehicles in a hold pattern for an ambush situation. They don't. Also, the planning of these scenarios are really crazy. I wish I could show you the one that is the worst. And that is at the point of the first mission that you have to play. Because you have to play the missions to unlock vehicles. The first mission you play, you get a buddy. Okay? It's again a motorized vehicle with a 75mm cannon with a limited traverse. That one I wanted to put into place because in the end you will escort these 3 trucks. And apparently the ambush just teleports into place. It just all of a sudden shows up when the truck comes to a certain point. And I try to set up something myself, like instead of going there with the trucks, I move there first, try to put one on a hold so he can just start firing as soon as they pop up. And he didn't. He just moved right back. So either this is going to work at some point, because they certainly don't do anything good now. And that's just terrible. Plus, there is no save function. Load last checkpoint, under development. I will tell you this, if you release anything, a scenario where you have pop-up teleport in events, Don't. It's ass. There's 4 segments to that scenario. First, you defend your place. Then you go destroy 2 separate areas with artillery. And then you defend the place. And then you go to escort your vehicles until you get ambushed. Just after you get the order to escort them, that's when you put those units in place. If you only do this by script, don't have them teleport in right on top of you. Literally, on a flank, there's going to be a light tank. Your truck will always die. You have no other option. You can't move ahead of it. You can't tell it to hold. You can't tell them to hold while you scout ahead. The mission is ass. It's just terrible. I don't know why an expensive game like this would have some dumb features like that. But worst of all, these scenarios can take hours. Some of them are big. Like this whole area, so if you're looking at it, there's 4 points that you have to take over, and they have overlapping fields of fire. So if you go to one point, you're most likely going to get hit by the other point next to it as well, because that's just the way it is laid out. I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is that if you try to do these in tactical, smart ways, so you don't instantly get shot to pieces, then it takes time. And plus, it's very janky to take over a place because you don't see units until there's like 3 left or something. Then you can see them marked to destroy them so you can take the area. And since you don't have any scout vehicles to mark anything for you, you have to blow up every building because there's always someone in bazooka hiding in them. And that's ass. And not including a save feature like that in scenarios that can take hours is freaking terrible, because you have to do certain missions in order to get to unlock new tanks and vehicles. Like this one requires for you to go pretty much the second mission structure completed in order for you to unlock it. And that means a lot of time in scenarios that can take forever, and then you can fail, and then you have to redo it. By not having a save or load point set when you get the game in early access is ass. Because we don't always have 3-4 hours to complete a mission. Sometimes you have to go and do other stuff. So if you create a scenario where you have to take that long to finish it, to be able to unlock, for example, the Tiger, you're going to get pissed. And especially in the first very mission, which I failed 3 times just because I didn't realize that they were just going to spawn in at the very end. I thought I missed something, so when I did it to that point the last time, it was like, did that thing just spawn in on my flank and shot me in the flank right away? Yep, it did. So, in order to get certain vehicles, you have to do the scenarios completely. And finally, the unit behaviors of the ones that you control are atrocious. Enemy behavior is not really super good either, although they can see you through walls and they can see you through mountains. But it is especially bad because these guys will not fire unless they fire upon. If they fire, it feels like it was just very random. Second of all, they get hyper fixated on enemies that you have left behind. And that can be, for example, a AT gun that you shot everyone handling the AT gun, so it technically it's destroyed, right? You didn't waste a cannon shot on it, but you removed all crew from it. You decrewed it. Nope. It's going to show up as a red dot on the minimap, and your unit is going to be so hyper fixated on it, they will turn around the turret to track it. Whereas you're going into a situation where you're going to get fired from in front. And because they have a hard time maneuvering, they will also often turn around completely or show the flank to the enemy, and they act like exactly what you think it is, like an NPC. It acts like a poorly scripted NPC. So if it doesn't fire, it will certainly put itself in a situation where you're going to get destroyed by flipping around, turning around, and something like that. And they will not proactively fire even though you might have discovered the enemy, because you have no way to mark it. Mark. You have no way to mark it because that thing doesn't work. In other words, you have a game that you play solo and you have friends that die with you. The best thing you can do is unlock enough so you have at least 2,000 points. That means you can bring another tiger. The tiger can take hits. So maybe your friend can take some hits with you, right? Essentially right now, this is a co-op game meant really for people playing co-op that are not entirely stupid. And you will still be frustrated over the part of the game that's still broken. But if you play this as a solo with NPC units like this, you're going to be increasingly frustrated how dumb and poorly they act. So we're going to showcase some of that now. Showcase to see if it actually managed to destroy something with a couple of pen hits, or if you guys going to have to continue shooting forever. And we're going to see if your units actually fire once, or if they just get fired upon and dies. Because that's going to happen too. So this was something that fired. Oh, there it is. So that's actually a tank. So you're going to fire on the destroy the turret. And if I start turning orange, I'm going to have to back off. Because that means my hit points are going down. I'm getting panned. So that one, 3. So I have noticed that if you fire repeatedly to the actual... I got hurt. I'm going to have to back off a little bit. Unless my guys are in the way, or if they're still at the start point. Oh, no, they're going to just drive around in circles, basically. So I'm going to now get that repaired. And if you stay there and try to repair, they interrupt your repair until you're dead. Okay, so he's going to drive there. You would definitely want to kill that one off as quick as possible because that's a tank destroyer. I think that's the M10. M10, if I understand it, had 90 millimeters, so that can actually hurt you. So just keep shooting at the turret. If you shoot at the body of it, you can shoot dead center on a light tank. That usually does it. But you don't want to do that on one of their tanks, because their tanks have a tendency of just soaking that damage up in the middle of the body, even though your technique will recrew. If you just keep on firing at the turret over and over, it will eventually die. So right now, and plus, by the way, they never all of a sudden bail out. In this game, none of them bail out. They are on fire, just indicating they're taking damage. But it really doesn't matter. So normally any crew, any reality or even in most games, what they will do. So now he repaired the turret, by the way, so that's why the other one is firing. But I'm still worried about that one a little bit more. And if you haven't noticed, none of my tanks, other tanks, are doing anything. Anything. As you can see. I'm just taking shot after shot. Let's give them an order or say mark. I don't know what that does, to be honest. It never seemed to be a firm response. Nothing has started firing at anything anyway. So right now, what, 4 shots in the turret after I shot it twice already before? Where are you guys going? I have no idea where they're going. Let's bring them back here. And also, I'm not even sure if being at an oblique angle, which would increase the chance of non-penetrating hits like that, if that actually works. I certainly haven't noticed. that it works in any kind of way. I'm right now on a slope, so that's why you see the cannon was like vibrating back and forth. And you can also see that when you stop on a slope, sometimes it starts just gliding. And, you know, this is what, a 60-ton tank or something like that? And it's just start gliding backwards. Are you back, guys? Nope. Just, I have no idea. So let's look on the minimap, I guess. Oh, they got shot to the pieces. Okay, 2 of them died already. They didn't do anything. So 2 died, they didn't shoot back. They're just gone. So something is firing at me. Oh, there we go. So I already lost 2. And they didn't do shit. That's great. And I'm almost done. My tank is currently orange. That means there's like basically no hit points left. And now I'm waiting here. Oh, they went that way and all died. Now I lost 3 of them because there's tanks over there firing at them, and they just went there and did nothing. Cool. Now I have 1 tiny little light tank with me. I probably want to angle like that because most likely there's some kind of tank over there firing at me. We'll see if that light tank... Oh, yep, oh. They fired at me. My light tank is probably going to go. No, I'm not so worried about the light tank. I am worried about that M10. Gun shot. Let's eradicate it. AT gun. Nope, my gun is gone. And there you go. So that is this game. It is extremely disappointing in the game. See, just getting hit and destroyed is one thing. It's just part of the game. You can't just blunder out into anywhere and just hope to survive. But the fact that I have no idea what that other tank is doing, and he's still pointing the other way. He's now finally firing, and that's because I got fired at. And that's it. That's the game in the essence. There's very little tactical, no strategy. Right now, you don't have any use of the other tanks. They just end up getting destroyed. That's just the game, it is. So, hopefully this is just early access issues. That A, there's going to be a full set of good commands. B, the units are going to behave in a way that's actually constructive and useful for you. That you are going to be able to put them on hold and put them in ambush and things like that. Otherwise, this really is ass. It's not good at all. This is broken. In essence, this is a broken game. And that's pretty much all I wanted to showcase. I wanted to show you how this game behaves and how it's not very useful. There is very little tactical value here. This map is made so I have to take one approach, and every single approach has a bunch of enemy units at it. So regardless where I go, I'm still going to be shot from probably several different areas, but also enough so that you can't really maneuver any other of your other tanks, and they will get destroyed, obliterated. If you have 2 tigers here, maybe one will survive. But the others won't help unless they fire at that one. That's just the way it is. So, could I recommend this game? If they are committed to making the game work, other than just release a bunch of more scenarios and maybe more units, maybe. Would I recommend it? knowing that it might not get improved on, well, that's a little bit hard. I can't tell you that. I can't tell you if they actually have serious plans on making sure this game live up to the potential, right? But right now, I'm a very bit leery about the whole concept because there's so many things right now that is not working right. And I will make a video on Sherman Commander, which has more of a tactical options for you. That's janky too, but you have a better concept of moving things around, tactically moving things. And your units will actually use terrain features, getting to cover and things like that. Here, I don't know. I can't tell you. It's just there was a desire to make a first-person type game or third-person perspective type game a more intimate experience compared to the other ones. But the reality is that they took that game and didn't really fundamentally change the game so it worked on this kind of scale. They just did like, oh, well, we can go in a first person aspect by zooming in on a unit. That's what we want to do. But you have to also realize that it needs more than that. If you're going to have a small squad experience, it has to feel like that functions. And right now it doesn't. And this was a perfect example. My units just blundered. You saw the guy, he was turning around, spinning, and then started firing a 20 millimeter gun at the tank. And we shouldn't be surprised about the result. But you have a great day, fantastic life, and until we meet again, as I always say, adieu.